the short answer is most people are not focusing on these three things. They're just reading. They're just scrambling for dear life. What does it mean to master the law? What's the strategy for doing that? What you want to do is begin to develop memory, whether it's memorized or just reasonably at your fingertips, of the elements and factors of the various legal claims and defenses in a particular subject area like contracts or property or crim. So, for instance, there's a case involving an eggshell skull. There's a doctrine called battery. So there was someone who, like a boy, kicked another one, but the guy had an eggshell skull, and so he collapsed. And there were all these things that were bad about it. But again, there's a pile of facts, and then there's law that you can apply. There are components of a legal claim that all have to be met for there to be a winning case. So in the case of battery, the tort of battery, like say punching someone, it's an offensive, an intentional, 1, offensive, 2, touching, 3, without consent. You need to know that framework so that you can begin to use that to actually spot issues later. How do you do that? You can either pre-study by kind of reading what are called commercial outlines. They're manuals or Gilbert's, and I will be offering them later, a little later this summer. But they just set out what the law is. It'll just say battery and offensive touching without consent. You will not find in most, because they're case books, you will not find that simply broken out. The case book, the table of contents, is organized by case name, and sometimes the index refers to the different doctrines, but it's not a textbook. You know, when they talk about realism in an international relations course, they don't bury it in a Henry Kissinger article. They simply tell you, if it's a textbook, this is what realism is. In this context, it's the commercial outline that tells you, that just straight up tells you what the black letter law is. Funny thing is, they don't give you these in law school. Professors will tell you not to use them, or many will. And yet, how is it that people study for the bar exam? They have outlines. Barbary just provides you piles and piles of outlines. So I wish I could say that I invented my entire system myself. A lot of it I developed over the years in tutoring, but some of these things I knew because one of my friends who went to Harvard, not NYU law, made me go to have a drink with him so he could break down law school to me. And he said, don't overread cases. Grab an outline. And he actually just gave it to me. He gave me his Barbary outline that he was studying, that he'd finished studying for the bar and taking, which set out just the structure of the black letter law, like what the law is. And he said, and study this before you get to law school. Now, this isn't the reason that you study it, but to me, you study the black letter law so that you can begin to work on practicing issue spotting. But it will help you with class and case understanding compared to most students who will try to glean their understanding of the law by reading and rereading and rereading cases. Now, there's some, I don't know what you call it, maybe it's the kind of Max Weber and the kind of Protestant ethic that you may have in mind, that like there must be some purpose to the suffering of reading cases repeatedly, and there isn't. I am not going to tell you don't read the cases. I do think that the best way to be prepared for class is to read, one, spend the time reading the outlines over the summer. You can also, that's what I call pre-studying the law. You can also side study the law by kind of reading relevant parts of an outline to the cases that you're reading. And this is made possible by the fact that both Gilbert's and Emmanuel's, they key their outlines to most of the major casebooks. So you can kind of use the outlines to kind of understand the law of the cases that you're supposed to be reading, and then read the case, and then just put it to bed and not spend more time belaboring that. Read the cases the night before, pre-study or side study with commercial outlines, and then do the best that you can based on that in class. You will be just as prepared, or not more prepared, than someone who's read the case 10 times. And as I say, even if you're not, as long as you're semi-competent, it won't matter.
Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I wish you all the best and take care.